Welcome to Unfiltered Reflections. I'm your host, Passion, and today we're stepping into the quiet spaces, the dimly lit rooms, where the glow of a screen is the only companion. We're going to talk about something that's happening all around us, often in silence, an epidemic that's shaping our society in ways we are only just beginning to understand. We're going to talk about loneliness, about purpose, and about a troubling label being attached to a growing demographic, the world's most dangerous person. But this isn't just about a statistic or a headline. This is about the human heart. It's about the fundamental, universal need to connect, to belong, and to feel worthy. So, take a breath and join me as we explore the invisible forces creating a generation of isolated souls and ask ourselves, what happens when we let them drift away? I want you to picture something with me. Imagine a modest apartment, the kind you find in any city. The sun has set, and the only light comes from a laptop screen, casting a soft blue glow on a young man's face. Let's call him Alex. He isn't doing anything out of the ordinary. He's scrolling, swiping, navigating that endless digital sea of profiles, each one a tiny curated window into someone else's life. On the surface, this is the modern quest for love, for connection. But if you look closer, you can almost feel the weight in the air. The silence of the room is punctuated only by the soft click of his trackpad. This isn't just a search for a date, it's a search for meaning in an existence that feels increasingly isolated. The echo of loneliness is the real soundtrack to this scene. This image, this single person in a single room, is a microcosm of a massive global experience. We are all, in some way, navigating this new frontier. The fundamental human desire for genuine connection, for someone to see us, to understand us, to share a laugh with, that isn't just LOL typed on a screen, is running headfirst into the cold, hard barrier of the digital interface. And it forces us to ask some deeply uncomfortable questions. In the quiet moments of scrolling through profiles, we have to wonder, can these digital interactions, these carefully constructed text exchanges, truly replace the warmth of a shared physical space? Can they replicate the subtle energy of sitting across from someone, of catching a fleeting expression, of feeling a moment of genuine, unplanned chemistry? Or is this pursuit of connection in the digital realm not a remedy for our loneliness, but an exacerbation of it? A system that promises everything, but often delivers only a deeper sense of being alone together. This touches on the most fundamental aspect of the human experience, our need for the tribe. For millennia, we survived and thrived in communities. We needed each other, not just for safety, but for our sanity. And now, we're trying to build that tribe through Wi-Fi signals and data plans. The emotions this evokes are a potent cocktail, a fragile hope with every new match, a sharp sting of disappointment with every ghosted conversation, and a pervasive, gnawing yearning for something more, something real. Many of us, if we're honest, carry a sense of nostalgia for a different kind of connection. Think back. For some, it might be high school. Remember the chaos of the hallways between classes, the laughter that bounced off the lockers, the easy camaraderie of the lunch table, the shared groans in a boring class. Those spaces were incubators of social skills. We learned to read body language, to navigate awkward silences, to debate, to flirt, to console a friend, all in real time, face to face. Now that vibrant, messy human world feels like a distant memory. For so many, high school laughter has been replaced by the silent hum of a computer. The halls that once echoed with life now stand as a metaphor for our quiet, isolated digital spaces. This isn't just about getting older, it's a profound societal shift. We are, in a very real sense, becoming disconnected from our own programming. Humans are inherently social creatures. We are mammals who evolved to live in packs. Our nervous systems are wired for co-regulation, for the subtle cues we get from being in the physical presence of others. We are losing touch with that core part of our nature. The evolution from classroom banter to isolated digital scrolling isn't just a technological change, it's a social and psychological one. It raises serious concerns about our collective mental health and the atrophying of our interpersonal skills. When emojis become our primary way of conveying emotion, can we truly claim to understand the complex, nuanced feelings of our fellow human beings? Are we losing our emotional literacy? Nostalgia plays a powerful role here. It reminds us of a time when connection felt more organic, less transactional. But it can also be a trap if we only look backward. The real challenge is to ask, how do we bridge the gap between the past and the present? How do we take the lessons from those locker-lined hallways and apply them to a world dominated by glowing screens? We can't go back, but we must find a way to bring the humanity of our past into our digital future. So back to Alex in his apartment, seeking solace in the virtual world. He's not just fighting a feeling, he's fighting an algorithm. He's fighting against a harsh, unforgiving reality of rejection, and the statistics are staggering. I've seen data suggesting it can take, on average, around 200 swipes just to get the promise of a single coffee date. And of those potential dates, maybe only 1 out of 5 will actually materialize. Think about that. The sheer volume of rejection is immense. It's a numbers game where the house almost always wins. In this pursuit of a connection that can transcend the digital interface, individuals are confronted with a crippling paradox of choice. The seemingly endless carousel of profiles feels like a blessing. Look at all these options. But it quickly becomes a curse. It commodifies people, reducing them to a handful of photos and a witty bio. It encourages a disposable mindset. Didn't like that first message? Swipe. A slight disagreement? Unmatch. There's always someone else just a flick of the thumb away. This raises the most critical question of all. How do we navigate the fine line between genuine interest and superficial judgment? When you have 1,000 choices, the motivation to invest deeply in any single one diminishes. The digital search for connection, with its emphasis on optimization and efficiency, can never truly replicate the beautiful, messy serendipity of real-world encounters, bumping into someone at a bookstore, striking up a conversation at a concert, being introduced by a mutual friend. Those moments have a story, a context. Online, we are all decontextualized profiles floating in the digital ether, and this is a common experience that unites so many of us. The frustration is universal. The feeling of being judged on a superficial level, the emotional exhaustion of performing for an unseen audience, the heartbreak of a promising connection that vanishes without a trace. These are the shared battle scars of modern dating. What are your experiences with this? I genuinely want to know. The comment section on our website for this episode is open because this is a conversation we need to have. How do you handle the rejection? How do you keep from becoming cynical in a system that seems designed to create it? The crisis of connection isn't just happening on our phones. It's connected to a deeper crisis of purpose, particularly for young men. And it started long before the first dating app. Think about our education system. For generations, schools had places like auto shop, metal shop, and wood shop. These weren't just classes, they were laboratories of competence. They were places where you could take raw materials, a block of wood, a sheet of metal, a faulty engine, and with your own hands, your own skill, and your own effort, turn it into something useful, something tangible, something real. The pride that comes from that is profound. It's the pride of seeing your work, of knowing you built that. It's a confidence that isn't dependent on someone else's approval or a like on a screen. It's an internal, earned sense of worth. And those spaces have largely vanished. In a well-intentioned but perhaps misguided push towards a purely academic, white-collar-focused education, we dismantled these sources of hands-on pride. We sent a clear message, intentionally or not. The work of the hands is less valuable than the work of the mind. So what happens to the young men who would have thrived in those environments? Who aren't destined for a 4-year university degree and a desk job? In a society that seemingly lacks a place for them, that no longer values the skills they might naturally possess, where do they go to find their worth? They seek refuge in the only place that offers instant feedback and a measure of status, the digital realm. Their worth becomes reflected on a screen. It's measured in video game rankings, in follower counts, in the fleeting validation of a match on a dating app. This echoes a much broader societal shift. We have devalued manual skills and tangible accomplishments in favor of the abstract and the digital. And we have to ask ourselves, how can our society redefine success to encompass a broader spectrum of skills and achievements? Is the virtual world truly an adequate substitute for the deep, soul-filling satisfaction that comes from creating something tangible with your own two hands? I would argue it's not. It's a temporary fix, a digital distraction from a deeper hunger for real world competence and respect. Now let's connect these threads. You have a young man who feels disconnected from a society that doesn't seem to value his skills. He turns to the digital world for connection and validation, only to face a relentless barrage of rejection. That rejection, swipe after swipe, ghost after ghost, erodes his confidence. His already fragile social skills, which aren't being practiced in real world settings, begin to wither away. What happens next is a slow, quiet withdrawal. It's not a dramatic event, it's a fade. He stops trying. He deletes the apps. He declines the rare invitation to go out because it feels too daunting, too likely to end in more failure. He retreats into the predictable comfort of his room, his screen, his isolation. Slowly, withdrawal from society becomes his personal narrative, but it's a narrative being echoed by millions. The statistics are genuinely alarming. A recent survey in the United States painted a harrowing picture of male isolation. 1 in 7 adult men say they have 0 close friends. 0. 1 in 4 men feel they cannot name a single best friend. This is the core of the issue. The erosion of confidence in the digital dating arena is not just about dating. It has profound, cascading implications for an individual's self-esteem and overall mental well-being. It reinforces a devastating internal monologue. You are not wanted. You are not worthy. And this is where we have to get honest with ourselves. How do we cope with rejection, not just online, but in life? What impact does it have on our self-perception? Can virtual interactions ever truly replace the confidence-building experiences that come from navigating successful and even unsuccessful face-to-face communication? The answer is no. Because in the real world, even a rejection can come with a kind smile or a gentle letdown. Online, it's just silence, a void. And our brains are wired to fill that void with the worst possible explanation. This is a challenge for all of us. How do we maintain our confidence and our sense of self-worth in an age that constantly asks us to put ourselves out there for digital judgment? How do we actively foster genuine, supportive connections that can buffer us against the harshness of it all? This crisis of connection and purpose is colliding with another powerful force, economic reality. Marriage, or even a long-term, stable partnership, was once a societal norm, a rite of passage into adulthood. Today, for a growing number of people, it's becoming a luxury item. Studies have shown a stark correlation between income and marriage rates. For men, especially, financial stability is often seen both by themselves and by potential partners as a prerequisite for being a desirable long-term partner. When you have a generation of young men who are financially constrained, perhaps working gig economy jobs with no stability, burdened by student debt, and seeing the goalposts for financial security move further and further away, the prospect of building a family feels like an impossible dream. This is where all the pieces click into place. You have the loneliness from social disconnection. You have the eroded confidence from digital rejection. You have the lack of purpose from a society that devalued their potential skills. And now, you add the hopelessness of economic precarity. This narrative, our story of Alex, pleads for a societal shift. It's not just about telling young men to be better or try harder. It's about recognizing that we, as a society, are creating the conditions for this crisis. We are neglecting the emotional and economic well-being of a huge segment of our population. And this brings us to that chilling phrase I mentioned at the start, the world's most dangerous person. This label is often attached to the lonely, young, broke, male. And why? Because history has shown us, time and again, that when you have a large group of young men who feel they have no stake in society, no path to a respected life, no hope for a family, and no community to belong to, they become vulnerable. Vulnerable to despair, to nihilism, and to extreme ideologies that promise them what society has not: a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and a sense of power. This story, the story of Alex, is a cautionary tale. It is an urgent call to action. We must address the evolving dynamics that are contributing to this crisis. We are not just talking about dating apps or the end of shop class. We are talking about the very fabric of our social contract. So what is the message here? It's this: the loneliness of one is the problem of us all. The struggles of the isolated young man are not his alone. They are a reflection of our collective choices, our shifting values, and our societal blind spots. We cannot afford to look away. Empathy is not enough. We need action. We need to recognize that providing pathways to purpose, fostering real world community, and addressing economic inequality are not just social issues, they are matters of public health and safety. The fundamental feelings that unite us all are at the heart of this topic: the yearning to be loved, the pain of rejection, the search for meaning, the need to belong. The young man in this story is not an other. He is a mirror reflecting our most basic human needs and what happens when they go unmet. So, what specific action can you take after listening to this? It starts small. First, practice proactive kindness. Check in on your friends, especially your male friends. Don't just ask, "How are you?" Ask a real question: what's been on your mind lately? Create a space where vulnerability is okay. Second, reevaluate your own definitions of value in yourself and in others. Look beyond the job title or the social media profile. Acknowledge and appreciate different kinds of skills, different kinds of intelligence, different paths in life. And third, foster real-world community. Join a club, volunteer, start a book group, go to a local park, be the person who says hello first. Every small act of real-world connection is a strike against the empire of isolation. It's a vote for the kind of world we say we want to live in. This isn't about fixing one group of people. It's about healing a fracture in our society. It's about remembering that behind every screen, behind every profile, is a human being with the same fundamental needs as you. If you've enjoyed this episode, please visit our website at d-zcakes.com. There you can find a transcript of today's show and a comment section where we can continue this vital conversation. Thanks for joining me on Unfiltered Reflections. Until next time, be kind to yourself, keep exploring, and remember, you are worthy, you are seen, and you are loved.